Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're here for another episode of PR Explored, the PR podcast where we delve into trends and topics related to public relations and communications. I'm your host, Michelle Garrett, a PR consultant and writer, and my guest today is Stacia Doss. Thank you so much for being here, Stacia.
Thank you, Michelle. It's Stacia. It's great to
Stacia?
meet everyone. Excited to be here. So, yeah, I'll just share a little bit about myself and then we can get into the conversation. But
Yeah.
I've been at Glassdoor for the past 4 years, and I spend a lot of time looking into conversations among job seekers, also expert advice from recruiters, career coaches, all those things to create content that helps job seekers really navigate this new world of the job market. I know it's very challenging right now. And so everything that I've seen and read and that my colleagues have dug into really paints the picture of how complicated the landscape is. So I'm excited to talk more about it and hopefully share some advice that will help a lot of you.
Yes, I have. We were chatting a little bit ahead of time. I'm going to put Stacey's LinkedIn up here as we're talking. Um, we were talking a little bit beforehand about I literally have a list of people, colleagues and friends that are looking for jobs right now, and I have never seen it like this. And I saw your report and I was excited to talk about this. And we are gonna I'm going to lean into the marketing, comms, PR side of things a little bit, but really the advice, it was not written specifically for that. So the advice will really apply kind of across industries. But I know that in my field, our field, it is really tough out there. And I've talked to a number of, like I said, friends who are kind of in a job search and it's really challenging. So the idea today is to try to help and kind of dovetail even off what we talked about 2 weeks ago, which was a skill set. What skill set should bring into a PR and comms job search, and what are employers looking for. So
Mm-hmm.
this I thought would be a perfect follow on to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to talk more about it.
So I will let's get started with our questions. I kind of want to set the stage a little bit. This wasn't part of the report, but I want to talk just for a minute about um, how many people are currently looking for work. And I know people who are freelance consultants like me, and then I know people who are, of course, looking for full-time jobs. And my research was a little it's kind of I've just never seen anything like this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, I hate to use the term unprecedented times, but it is in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I don't have the numbers in front of me. If you want to share those,
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna read this and then I'll put the link up to this Marketing Dive article. It
okay.
says active job listings for marketing roles overall fell 5.2% between the second and third quarters of 2025, and new listings fell 4.4% during the same period. Um, they are saying it is due to economic issues as well as AI. I found another article that says employment prospects for marketers hit a 4-year low in April 2025. Um, and hiring takes longer. It used the term some listings are frozen, seem to be frozen in time, which I've also heard is an issue
Mhm.
for job seekers who are just looking and applying online. So I'll put this article up here in case anybody wants to look at it. But the stats are, you know, eye-opening, I guess.
Yeah, and daunting for a lot of people. So yeah, recruiters are getting a record number of applications, so much so that they're not even able to review them all. So if you don't apply within that first 24, maybe even 48 hours, your application is more than likely not even getting looked at because there's just so many applicants coming in. So like for industries that are not hiring as much or rapidly changing. Comms, for one, those roles are evolving so much and so
Mhm.
quickly. This leaves fewer roles across the board and just higher competition, stiff competition in those industries where they're just seeing significantly more applicants than previous job markets. So it's definitely challenging to break through the noise when there are fewer roles to apply for, and then recruiters are being overwhelmed on the other side of things as well. So it's tough.
Yeah, I also saw that, remote jobs make up just 14% of all marketing jobs. We were talking a little bit about how everybody, really wants I think most people want hybrid or remote, would be their preference, it seems like,
Yeah.
and I understand that completely. And I also saw a stat that the communications professional listings fell 17.5%, which that
Mhm.
was kind of a very high number in my opinion. So I don't know how accurate that is. But generally, what I saw was that there's a trend towards smaller, more experienced teams versus a broader expansion. So what it said was that more employers are hiring, but there are fewer roles. So they're looking for senior talent versus entry level, and that makes it tough for younger professionals to really get anything going on.
Yeah, absolutely. There are definitely fewer entry level roles. That's something that our research team has looked into and has seen trending. Um, of course, AI plays a big part in that because some of those tasks that entry level workers may have been doing traditionally can now be handled through AI, but that doesn't mean that they're not out there. I think you just have to get creative in how you position yourself, and having some skills in AI or being able to position how you use AI in your daily life or as part of your
Mhm.
job is really important, even if it's just a little bit. I'd advise anyone who is not or who is anti AI to at least start training themselves and figuring out some creative ways that they can use it to help them with their job search.
Yes, I mean, it's here, and so we kind of have to, make,
Yeah.
make the best of it, I guess, right?
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
I will, share the report link too, but one of the things that, the report talks about is 70% of workers aren't hopeful about their job search in 2026, and I say, "Why do you think that is?" And I think we've just kinda talked about
Yeah.
some reasons, but maybe we should talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of workers say that they're frustrated with ghosting in the process. Some people aren't even getting rejection letters after they apply for jobs until months and months later. But that just ties back to the recruiters being overwhelmed with the number of applicants. And it's really just a lose lose on all sides. But it totally makes sense why they're not hopeful about the job search. This number can be pretty jarring to look at, especially if you are entry level or you're looking to change careers or anything like that. It's pretty tough to swallow.
Right. I feel like, and maybe we'll see how this plays out, but I feel like maybe we might be seeing, or we may see a little bit of a turnaround as far as the reliance on AI, because I've also seen a lot of research and articles about how while companies are like adding AI tools, adopting AI, they really don't know how to implement them and
Yeah.
apply, what they have
Yes.
to bring about actual results. And so they may end up, finding that they do in fact need human workers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, particularly in our industry, there have been there's someone I follow from Stacker who posts a lot about storytelling roles that companies are hiring for that are paying 100K and above, and what that basically tells us is that just what you're saying, that human aspect is still important. You need the humans who understand human storytelling to tell the AI what to say, what to do, and to edit that content in a way that makes it relatable for the humans that are consuming it. Because if things are robotic and you're trying to reach a human audience, it's not going to work. You need someone to provide that guidance and an actual narrative that people can relate to.
Yes. I did see the storyteller skill set as one of the ones that's kind of in demand. A couple other ones that I saw were growth marketers and product fastest growing growth marketers. That was what I saw. And then product marketers have the highest pay. And I also saw a demand for social media pros. So I
Mhm.
find that really interesting because I feel like I almost feel like there's in general, people may be kind of trending away from using social as much. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
that might just be.
I mean, if you count Reddit and Threads, I think that people are gravitating towards platforms like that more, where their
Mhm.
conversations. I'm not sure if Substack is considered social media, but that's another one where we're seeing a lot of people finding their voice and sharing stories in a different way.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking, if you have skill sets in those areas,
Yeah.
it might not be quite as daunting,
Yeah.
um, but I did find it interesting that it's that more companies are hiring, but they're not hiring at the massive, scale that they were, so it
Yeah.
feels like there was just kind of a market correction in there
Yeah.
'cause it did feel, it'd be nice to find the happy medium because
Yeah.
it's either, a lot of hiring or, not enough, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Absolutely.
let's talk for a minute about the application process because I've heard this anecdotally as well that can be very frustrating. And of course, people hate writing cover letters and then they upload their resume and then they have to fill out an application. And just like it's a lot of redundancy, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the biggest frustration when we polled workers. It was re-entering your resume. We kind of thought that people would say automation, AI screeners, something like that as the biggest pain point, but that was actually number two. 48% of folks said re-entering their resume. Like that's so annoying to them. And even when we get into the comments, people were sharing their woes with that. But we also, as I mentioned earlier, we've seen people talking about ghosting in the process being a big source of frustration for them as well. You put all this info in, you're re-entering your resume, and then you hear absolutely nothing back. Or some people have shared stories about being in the process, maybe having a conversation and then never hearing back again. So that's where we're seeing the biggest frustration. I want to talk a little bit about AI because there was an interesting comment when we did this poll. So it's a poll, and then people can engage in
Mhm.
conversation underneath the poll. Someone brought up how frustrated they were, and they got a lot of likes on this particular comment, but how frustrated they were with recruiters and or hiring managers reiterating that people should not be using AI too much in their process of applying for jobs. They're frustrated by this because they say that a lot of companies are using AI in their process. So they're like, okay, so you can use AI for us, but we can't use AI when we're applying for your role. So that was just
Mhm.
interesting to see that
Mhm.
how many people liked that comment and felt that way. That's not something that we saw people saying. So it's interesting to get those comments and see how they're really feeling.
Yeah. Well, it's not fair, but I mean,
Yeah, it's not fair. Right.
I follow a couple people in the recruiting space, and yeah, they always talk about, the how it isn't really, it's not set up for the job seeker, of course, and
Yeah.
I just wonder how much of it just goes into a black hole somewhere, and how much they're really looking at, because I also hear my friends looking for jobs saying that they often don't hear anything, so the ghosting, and it's like, did it even, where did it go? Like, did it even count? Did
Right.
it even matter? Like, um
Right. It's frustrating. Yeah, it's very frustrating. I totally understand because, yeah, you put a lot of effort into it. You may even be tailoring your cover letter or tailoring your resume for different roles,
Right.
and then you go and fill it out, resubmit everything, copy and paste everything over again, and then you hear nothing. That's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. And then we'll talk in a little bit about, just mental health wise, maybe some things
Yeah.
that would be helpful. So
Yeah.
we'll get to that. And please ask questions, if you have any, as we discuss this, and we will do our best to, get to those. Okay. So next, let's talk about, kind of the tips that are make up the heart of the report about, what is known as the hidden job market. And I know that a lot of it talks about things that you can do beyond applying online, because I think the first thing many job seekers are going to do, they're going to search for jobs on LinkedIn or online, wherever they look, and they're going to submit those applications, and they're going to sit there, like, and hope that that somebody's going to call them or get in touch. But often, the jobs are not coming from that particular part of the search. They're
Mhm.
actually coming through other channels.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our researcher, Chris, our lead researcher, found that online applications, cold applying is still, of course, the number one way to get a job, but it's a lot more complicated than just that. So, referral interviews, or interviews that come from referrals, were 35% more likely to result in a job offer. And one of the big things that we've heard a lot about, or maybe not heard so much about, is the power of weak ties. So Adam Grant, an organizational psychologist, talks a lot about this, and that's really just the power of a friend or a casual acquaintance, maybe a former colleague, people you don't know that well that are really key to getting your foot in the door. Cold outreach can work, like just finding someone at the company and seeing if they'll be willing to refer you or connect you with someone. But the best way to go is probably through informational interviews. So, really finding a connection, someone at that company, or someone, a target company, or someone who's doing something that you're interested in at a company you're interested in, and just making an introduction, setting up time with them so that you already have those connections. You don't have to find one. So if something comes up, or you just want to keep in contact with them in the event that something is, maybe it's posted internally and they're open to considering external applications, you already have someone. And as fast as roles are being taken down, the ones that we do have access to, it's critical to apply as soon as you see something you're interested in. So having those connections in advance, or at least trying to make those connections, is like super important.
Right. And obviously, most people probably know how to use LinkedIn to see, if you share a connection in common,
Yeah.
or if you're, a degree away, but know someone, they can introduce you maybe, or, and I think most people are more than happy to do that. I mean,
Mhm.
um, I've certainly done it for people, and, I think that can be at least kind of a foot in the door, and help you stand out. And sometimes I know everybody will often direct you back to the application online, but
Yeah.
sometimes you can get the resume sent directly to the hiring manager or somebody who is in touch with the hiring manager. And of course, I think that can also be more powerful, perhaps.
Yeah. And I know we'll get into this later, but I'll share some stories from job seekers as well as some things that our recruiters and career coaches have shared with us on our podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm going to put the podcast in our chat, in our comments as well. I saw one thing. I don't know if you're going to talk about this in a little bit, but the target company list.
Yeah. Yes. That was something that JT O'Donnell spoke to on, we have a podcast called The Lonely Office, which has an Ask a Recruiter segment. And there are a lot of nuggets that are shared on there. And one of them that JT O'Donnell shared was the 20 company bucket list. So coming up with your bucket list of your target 20 companies based on different attributes, things that you want out of a company, and really starting to build your story around those brands, building your narrative. That's one thing, but that's something that as comms pros, PR and comms pros, we do that for a living. So being able to do that externally, like for yourself, I know it can be a bit challenging, but sharing your story for, as it goes with these companies, sharing your narrative as it relates back to their values and things like that is something that is super important. And having to do it as part of your job should make it a bit easier to craft stories for these companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I really like that tip because I think sometimes, I feel like it's, first of all, if you get laid off, it's very overwhelming to just start kind of, to start in, like, where do you start? There's so much to do. And you're kind of overwhelmed and you just don't know. So that's why I like these tips because they're practical and they actually give you like things that you can, almost homework, I would call it, that you can do to kind of hopefully get a leg up.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yep.
I thought that was a really interesting one because I also was posting about, the fact that we were doing this today, and somebody online was talking about how they have done a lot of cold outreach. I think
Yeah.
they are more on the freelance consulting side, but
Mhm.
that can work. I mean, it is a lot of work to do it, but I
Yeah.
know several folks who do that and are able to, you might have to reach out to a lot of companies, but you
Yeah.
can come away with, a client or a project. I think that could be another way to approach this. So at least you feel like you're hopefully accomplishing something. And um, I don't know if we want to talk about LinkedIn as a tool, but I mean, I think that is a really powerful way to
Yeah.
uncover, find the companies, but then find the contacts at the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like your personal directory.
Yeah. Um, all right. Let's see here. So, um, we are talking about, we've kind of talked about this a little bit, beyond the typical process. What
Mhm.
else can we do? What are some other methods that maybe we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, so once you have built that 20 bucket list, of companies, make sure that you're following them on LinkedIn and you're getting jobs alerts. In addition to LinkedIn, I think it's important to go to those company sites and set job alerts so that you can be notified before they're even posted on LinkedIn and you can get a leg up on applying. One thing that another career expert recommended, Madeline Mann, is regularly posting. So, sharing your story in that way, regularly posting on LinkedIn about the work that you're doing and having an engaging narrative, but also engaging with the target company's content. So, commenting under those things so that they see that you're active, you're visible, you're a fan of the company, they'll recognize your name. Those things have been impactful for some. And then as PR and comms pros, like it's really about just targeting companies where you genuinely can add to the conversation, whether that's like employer brand, executive visibility, thought leadership, anything. And you're already thinking, I'm sure, as someone in this field in terms of visibility, voice, and influence. So that translates directly into your job search and really shaping perception and sharing what you do and even your approach to different things. Because, you know, as you make those connections, they can go to your profile and see, like, oh, hey, you know, they know what they're talking about. They actually do these things. Because especially if you're just doing a cold outreach, it may be more challenging to just be like, oh, here's my resume. It's more impactful to tell your story when you're doing that initial contact and just saying, hey, here's a little something that I worked on, or, you know, check out my latest, here's my latest post. It talks a little bit about my approach to XYZ. So just keeping that in mind.
Yeah, I think showing that you know how to deliver results is a huge
Mhm.
piece of this, and, I think for a long time, maybe that, again, was undersung a little bit, and so now I feel like that the person that can show what they've done as opposed to just, putting it as a line item on their resume,
Yeah.
they show their results, they show, themselves in action, that really
Mhm.
helps them stand out because companies want somebody, again, just looking at some articles as I prepared for today, they want somebody who is ready to hit the ground running, and I know, again, that sounds kinda, you know,
Yeah.
however it sounds, but they want somebody who can deliver real results, and that's why I feel like, the entry level, the new college grad, set is probably struggling a little bit, although I see a lot of professors in comms and, marketing talking about how even when you're an undergrad, you need to be doing the internships and you need to be, demonstrating your skills and abilities so again, you stand out from your fellow, grads or whatever. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's just more important than it's ever been.
Oh, yeah. And that's when you start building your network too. When you have these internships, you make sure that you are staying in contact with connections. And internships kind of give you a taste of what you might want to do, but then there might be someone in a different area of the business that you're interested in learning more about what they do, or maybe you had some exposure to it and you're like, hey, like I actually would like to do something more like this. So just making sure that you keep in contact with those people is super important. They may leave that job, but they'll still be part of your network and could possibly help you get a job once it's time to graduate.
Yes, and that's what I tell, I have a couple younger kids, in the one in college, one out, and, I'm always saying as soon as you meet someone,
Yeah.
is she my daughter's a freshman, start adding them to your LinkedIn because it
Yep.
kinda builds over time, and, in a few years, when she gets to that point, then she'll already have, a solid base of, folks that she can hopefully, look to for introductions or references or
Mhm.
referrals or whatever it might be. So I feel like again, I know sometimes I've talked with some students who really love LinkedIn and really know how to use it, and then others who kind of look down on it. And I get it, but it really is an important tool, and it's a place to collect all of those professional contacts that you've made. Um, and
Mhm.
it's easy to search and find, who might be able to help you or who knows someone who could help you. So I think
Yeah.
don't dismiss LinkedIn.
Yeah, I agree. It's the easiest way to reach out and you may not get a response, but I think 9 times out of 10, like previously I have used LinkedIn to learn more about opportunities and things like that in the past. And I've successfully been able to get people to talk to me, and that's without having premium. So I think it's worth trying, and again, craft a message that is compelling and makes sense and will get someone to want to respond to you. Don't just say, hey, can you help me get a job? Or,
Right.
make sure that you're actually telling a story when you're reaching out.
I think that's a really important point that you just made because again, when someone comes to me and says, "Oh, I got laid off," or "Oh, I think I'm going to get laid off, so I'm looking for a job," I need more. I need to
Yeah.
know industries, types of roles. Sometimes I think the roles don't match what the skill set is, so maybe a little bit
Right.
about like what you really want to focus on in the role, just so I'm not wasting anyone's time by sending the job seeker a bunch of openings that maybe really aren't a fit.
Mhm.
Um, and I think on the job seeker side, when you ask someone for help, also be aware that if they send you something that isn't a fit, they may not have taken the time to look and see if it's a remote role or if you're in the same
Yeah.
vicinity or they're trying to help. And so I don't think most
Yeah.
people look down on that, but sometimes I feel like, the expectation can't be that I'm going to be doing all the research on the role. I saw it, thought, okay,
Right.
send it over.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're not
So
looking that deep into it. You're like, okay, overall, it looks like something that you have a skill set for. Yeah, I think that can still go a long way. I hope people are appreciative of things like that.
And I see just a lot more people compiling job listings, and I'm not sure how much overlap there is. I don't know if you've seen this too, but I follow a few people who share compilations, not only for freelancers, but for full-time jobs too. And
Mhm.
so sometimes I'll suggest, well, you need to follow this person or that person. They post once a week, or they post one person I know posts every day, it seems like. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure where they're pulling all that from, but
yeah. If you wanna post more frequently, my recommendation would be to build your own calendar, your own content calendar, and
Mhm.
I don't think you gotta post every single day. Like, if you're trying to be an influencer or something on LinkedIn, maybe you wanna
Right.
post more frequently, but I think to start once a week is fine, and just go through. You can even schedule your content as well, so just figuring out what do you have in your arsenal that you wanna share, you wanna promote and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and then do follow those people who share job listings. And
Mhm.
like I said, I have a few in my network that I see either once a week or more often than that are compiling marketing and comms, PR jobs, and posting them on LinkedIn. And so, and some are free, some have paid Substack newsletters or what have you, and then others are just posting them up there. I don't think it's just there, so it's available for free. So I'm not trying to give people looking for a job more things to pay for, but
Yeah.
we're trying to help them without them spending money. So
Yes, yes.
um, we do have a question,
Yeah.
and I will put it up here, and let's see if we can put our heads together.
Yeah.
Annette is asking, what tips do you have for seasoned professionals who want to enhance or build a new skill set?
Mhm.
Um, what do you think about this one? I mean, we talked a little bit about AI, and of course, I think there's a lot of ways to look at that
Mhm.
and maybe take a course or again, sometimes there are free resources. I just went to a day-long marketing profs session. It was free about AI and SEO and XEO, AEO, GEO, whatever you
Yeah, all the
whatever.
EOs.
Yeah, yeah.
E-I-E-I-O.
That's what I know, I like that. Um, so that would be one thing if you're looking at the AI side of things.
Yeah. I see a lot of events actually on Eventbrite for different webinars and classes to learn new skills, but I want to share not to not to be promotional, there's a blog post that had some career coaches' advice on setting your intentions for the new year. And I think there's some good stuff here. One of the things is AI upskilling through consistent micro learning, which basically means like you don't have to go all the way in and learning all the things AI. You can set aside like time each week to learn at least one skill or learn about a certain area of AI. Basically, what the article says is, per the recommendation of Amy Lentz, who is one of our career experts that we talk to on our podcast, she recommends putting at least 1 or 2 30-minute calendar blocks each week and attending those as like meetings for yourself to invest in AI research and use, and just like playing around with things, seeing what you can learn, use tools like ChatGPT, help you find different resources. So there is actually a lot out there that is free. Like, as you mentioned, you don't have to necessarily pay for a full-blown course or certification to learn these things. There's a lot out there. So I encourage you to check out some of the, like you said, marketing profs, PR Daily, any of those types of sites, and see what types of webinars they're offering that are free.
I'm going to offer another resource. I was looking it up. Jenny Dietrich of Spin Sucks has a Slack community for PR pros and comms pros, and it is free. I'm going to put the link here, and I would recommend that because there are job postings in there occasionally for freelance and full-time work, and I think that is a really good resource, and it's a community. So you can ask a question in there too. You could say, "Hey, I want to learn more about this. What would you recommend?" And maybe there will be some free and paid resources that people have tried and can recommend. And of course, they have resources too that they offer for free and paid options. So that's another place I think it's a good place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you have the blog link, but I dropped a couple of posts that have some solid advice for building skills and also like where to start with your search as well. Those are helpful.
Okay, I'm going to put those in the comments here. Let's see what else. If anyone else has questions, please feel free to ask. I know we have a question here that we were going to discuss. Put it in the chat. Oops. Okay. Did we talk about outside the box approaches? Did we already talk about it?
We talked a little bit about some other methods, but I can share a few others that we got from community comments.
Okay. Yes.
So the first set comes directly from the career experts, coaches, recruiters, but specifically job seekers, where they have shared that they've had success. The weak ties is one big one, networking with weak ties, which I know we've talked about a bit today. Also, someone said literally emailing resumes out to their contacts helped. And just, again, you got to have a story there before you start doing that. Similarly to reaching out to people on LinkedIn, give a little blurb about what you're looking for and, your background, that sort of thing, and emailing resumes out to contacts. Some people have actually found success with that, just cold emailing. And then I wanted to share one underutilized piece of advice. And this was actually this was from some content I was working on for things to do immediately after you've been laid off. And one of the pieces of advice was setting up coffee chats with people in your network or with those weak ties. And then at the end of each conversation, asking, is there anyone else? Who do you recommend I speak to next? Is there anyone else that you can can you do an intro? And that just goes back into continuing to build your network. Don't let the conversation end. Like your informational interview should continue with more informational interviews based upon the recommendation of who you're speaking to, because you might, you just might end up sitting across from someone who could get you a job, and having those conversations and making sure that they don't end there is really important.
Yeah, I think I know especially when I noticed this with my again with my own son, but
Yeah.
like they don't know what an informational interview necessarily is, and hopefully there's a college,
Yeah.
professor or class that's helping kind of coach them on
Yeah.
this. But you definitely want to do homework for those too, and you want to go in with questions that you want to ask. And I
Yep.
think that is a really great reminder to ask, who else would you suggest I talk to, instead of just kind of saying, okay, thank you, and walking away.
Mhm.
Um, I say also make sure and send the person a thank you
Yeah.
email. You don't necessarily, if you want to do handwritten notes, that's fine, but you can, I think, just an email, because people's time is really valuable. And I think
Mhm.
people enjoy helping and are happy to help, but also they want to be appreciated and thanked for that time. So
Yeah.
that's a very simple, I mean, just a reminder, I guess. But I think, especially again, I've seen sometimes with folks that are newer to the job search process, they may not understand
Yeah.
what they're really asking and what that person has given them. So I think just thank you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Thank you goes a long way, and making sure that you're kind of recapping some of the things that you hit on in the conversation that really stood out for you would definitely make them, see how serious you are about this and how appreciative you are.
Yeah, I think, like I said, just simple thank you goes a long way, and it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Because again, we're trying not to have people who are looking for work spend more money. So
Yeah, correct.
we really
Yeah,
are not.
yeah. Zoom chats, perfect.
Yeah, well, because if you take someone out for coffee or lunch, I mean, you don't have to pay for their coffee or lunch, but I think sometimes the offer, sometimes they might think that you're going to offer, or some
Oh,
people
yeah,
might
yeah,
think that you're going to pick up the check.
yeah.
And so just, we're not trying to put people, in the
No,
red.
yes, yeah. And in this day and age, I would say don't limit yourself to people that are local. Have a
Yeah.
coffee chat virtually. Have your coffee, they have their coffee in their own locations. So expand your network, I think. Don't just think locally. I mean, if you happen to be in town and someone that you are connected
Mhm.
with, is there, then you could meet with them in person. But I think people are also very appreciative of having a virtual option these days, because it's a bit harder to get out of, if they're going to the office, it's hard to get out of the office, come all the way to a point, get back in time for whatever meetings they have, that sort of thing. So consider virtual as an option as well.
Yeah, another thing that just popped into my head is professional organizations are a great resource. And
Yeah.
again, um, you don't necessarily have to pay to be a member. You can always go to a meeting and see
Yeah.
how you feel about it.
Yeah.
And just again, you're going to meet people whenever you go in person to an event. And sometimes it works out better than other times. Sometimes you get to
Yeah.
an event and you're like, well, I didn't really meet anybody that I think would be a good connection for me. But sometimes you'll meet, even if you meet a couple people who
Yeah.
you can add to your network, and maybe just explain, what you're looking for, and
Yeah.
just I think that's another way. And of course, there are a number of them. I know in Columbus here we have PRSA, which is for public relations. We have AMA, which is American Marketing Association. There are various organizations probably wherever you're located, especially in larger cities, of course, where you can go. And again, sometimes they host events. You can just attend as a non-member, and sometimes here I know there are even free like coffee or happy hour type gatherings where there really is
Yes.
no charge to get in, and or maybe it's it's a low fee to get in.
Yeah.
So that's another idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had something else. Oh, I know what it was. Um, I sometimes people it's always whether you have a job that you feel secure or not, I feel like it's a really good practice to stay in touch with your network as much as you can. Now, of course, if you have 500 people in your LinkedIn network or more, you're not gonna stay in touch, close
Yeah.
touch with all of those people. But what really I think is not effective is waiting until you need something and then
Yeah.
getting in touch with someone. So, it's really good if you can kind of, just keep an eye out for ways to help people even when you don't have any reason to be reaching out to them. Just maybe you saw an article that might be of interest to them or,
Mhm.
I don't know, just I think it's good to find ways to kinda support each other all the time so that maybe in the event that you do need to ask for support, it's not like you feel like you're just showing up asking for something.
Yeah. Yeah. They're familiar with you. You're not just popping up out of nowhere and they don't remember who you are because you haven't talked to them in years.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Um, I will ask one more time. I encourage people to ask the questions. If anyone has questions that we haven't covered or anything that you want to add to the discussion, please share that.
Mhm.
We are going to talk a little bit about, you know, other things for job seekers to keep in mind. I know, again, it can be a really tough time and it's stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I would say it's important to give yourself time and grace. Start tapping into your network, but you don't have to go all in immediately. Give yourself some time to breathe. If you've, recently been laid off, layoffs are pretty common these days, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So, yeah, give yourself some time and space before you jump into anything and then start tapping into your network or building your network. One of our career experts, Phil Terry, shared that community is super important in the job search and reminds folks to never search alone. So making sure that you have your own little council or, community of people that you can talk to, whether they're part of your network or friends, family, those having the space and support to talk to people and of course not even talk about work sometimes is really important because if
Mhm.
you're constantly talking about the job search it can be pretty depressing, and it's important to have that, have the folks around you that can help you.
Yeah, I think that is really, so important, and the mental health aspect of this, can't be downplayed. I think your point about community and just having people you can talk to,
Mhm.
that I mean, I don't know, I went through a layoff one time and before when I worked for someone else. Now I've been working for myself for quite a while, so I don't have
Yeah,
to necessarily worry about that in the same
yeah,
way, but that was tough. I mean, sometimes you don't have a lot of notice, you have an inkling that it might happen, but
yeah,
it's just it makes you feel a certain way about yourself. And I would say
yeah,
just try not to make it about you as much as about the company. And for example, I was the low man on the totem pole
yeah,
in the marketing department, and so that I was the one that got cut. So I just had to remember again that it really wasn't about anything that I had done necessarily to put me in that position. It wasn't fun, but you can get through it, and having a community and people to support you will really help.
yeah. I'm going to share another piece in the comments with you.
Okay.
that some of these, there's some really good tips for just recovering. And then we also have a layoff survival guide. So if you have recently been impacted and you're looking for something, or you're trying to figure out how to get back into the swing of things, or making sure you don't necessarily find yourself at another company that's going to be laying off soon.
Right.
There's some tips here, so I'll drop that in as well.
No, thank you very much. I think that's, the more things we can give people to help support them throughout this process. That's, that was my goal today, was really just to kind of, encourage people. Obviously, everything that goes down comes back up again.
Yeah.
And so we have to remember, it might look different, but I do feel like, hopefully we're going to be, I've seen more job listings this week, just anecdotally on LinkedIn.
Yeah. This is the most, historically, this Q1 is the biggest hiring season. It's probably one of the biggest times to find a job, to land a job. So there's still hope. I think keeping the human part in everything is really important, even with AI and all these things. I think that's what we're seeing consistently is keeping the human part of your job process there is going to help you land something faster.
Yeah. No, I think that there's a big need for the human side of things. And we talked about storytelling and kind of being able to tell your own story and bring forward your own examples. And, I think, employers are looking for somebody who's going to be a fit as well,
Yeah.
just from a personality or values, even perspective, maybe. So, I wouldn't be afraid to even bring some of that into the conversation if it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do have a question, and I'm not sure how to answer this one. Are the local markets more reliable than online remote openings?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that probably depends on industry.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Tapping into listings for certain industries may be easier to do, like probably more like blue collar work. It could be more impactful to tap into your network versus just looking for online jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd even heard of someone in our community sharing that they literally went to a job and handed their application. I think in industries that are more traditionally blue collar, that could be a possibility.
Yeah.
But I think if it's more traditional white collar, the online openings are probably going to be your best bet, or tapping into someone virtually to see if there's an online application of some sort.
Yeah. I think that's good advice. And then it just popped into my head. Are there any organizational resources as far as just organizing your job search that you recommend beyond like an Excel sheet or a Google sheet, or like, that's another thing I think that I've seen people be a little bit overwhelmed by.
Yeah. I have to think about this one. I think
I
as
put you on
much
the
as
spot.
I've kept saying AI, human, I think AI is where you tap into something like that to get the most out of it. I think it's really good at arranging things, creating timelines, agendas, itineraries, all those things. I think tapping into it could help you with organizing in that way.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some tools, and if I had thought about this earlier, I would have.
Like, I use it to plan trips. I think it can definitely help you plan your life, or you know what I mean? Plan what's next if you give it the information to kind of do the analysis and help you based on what you want.
Yeah. I'm kind of a sheet gal, an Excel or Google Sheet gal, so,
Yeah.
I use that a lot for just organizing things for clients and just my own marketing and things like that.
Yeah.
tend to just use that, but I don't know. I can't imagine how complicated it would be if you're pulling job openings from various resources, and is there overlap, and like, did I
Yeah.
already apply for this, or like, what's my next step? Did I need to follow up? When did I last follow up? So there's a lot to keep track of. So
Oh yeah. Pretty
just
manual. Yeah, pretty manual. I mean, one thing that just popped up, if you want to do, you could create your own version of Google Forms. It still puts it in a spreadsheet, of course, but what if you had
Mhm.
fields for here's what the company is, here's what the job is, like if you're wanting to keep track on what you have been applying for, or what job descriptions you felt resonated with you more than others, you could do that to keep track and then just look back at the spreadsheet.
Yeah. Yeah. John is asking about traveling to other cities to just check out, if even if you're going to plan to work remotely. I certainly, I mean, if you have trips in the on your agenda, I don't think it would hurt to look and
Yeah.
see what the job market is like.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
agree. Yeah, and you could potentially reach out to someone in advance. I feel like vendors will sometimes come into town for conferences and they'll say, "Hey, I'm going to be in town. Can we
Mhm.
set up time for coffee?" And that's a great opportunity to reach out if you're going to already be there.
Yeah, I think trade shows are another opportunity to network and just, not necessarily hand out your resume, although you could keep a couple copies of it. But I
Yeah.
think just meeting people, and again, making those connections, bringing them back, and connecting on LinkedIn, and just, just kind of, it takes a lot of different approaches, I think, to really make it an effective search. And I really think it's good advice, again, even if you're not actively looking for a job, to be
Mhm.
adding to your network, meeting
Yeah,
people,
always.
helping and supporting people that you meet, and helping your colleagues, and just
Mhm.
having that kind of a spirit where you're not just, head down until you need something. So
Yeah, I agree.
and of
Definitely.
course, if you're checking out companies, you wanna look at Glassdoor, which is
Yes.
a great way to learn more about what a company's culture is like.
Yes.
I've used it. I mean, of course, I work with clients, but sometimes I'll look up a company on there, just to see, what the comments might be, from those who have actually worked internally at the company. I think it can be very telling, and either for the better or the worse. So
Yes, absolutely. Always do your research. And then you can reach out to people on that's another big part of informational interviews is reaching out to people who are in roles you're interested in or who work at the company to get a little peek of the company culture, because should this company be on your bucket list or not? Because
Mhm. Right.
you want to
Yeah.
know if the culture is how it's being shared externally, internally.
Yeah. And sometimes, I know here locally, there'll be companies on the best, places to work list. And
Yeah.
sometimes, I always wonder how accurate that is. Did they pay to get on that list? So
Yeah, I mean,
although
yeah, I used to work in PR, and I know that some of those lists are pay to play. Some of them aren't. Of course, Glassdoors is based on reviews, so you can trust that those are the best according to employee reviews, but not all of them work that way.
right.
So do some additional research.
Yeah. Talk to somebody who actually works there or has worked there recently, because it can
Yeah.
change over time. And we know that too.
Yep.
Um, John mentioned alumni programs. That was another point. I thought that was really good. So
Yeah.
contact your alumni program at your school and see if they have any resources to help you with your job search. I think that's another great tip. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else as we wrap up here that you want to share?
Um, no, I guess shameless plug. Check out Glassdoor's blog because we're constantly posting tips every month to help job seekers in navigating the search. Like this is a challenging market, as we've talked about repeatedly today. And we also have the podcast, The Lonely Office, specifically the Ask a Recruiter episodes offer even more tips that you may not hear elsewhere. So make sure you check that out. And then if you have any questions that I can answer, feel free to connect with me.
I did not know that Glassdoor had a podcast, so I learned something.
Yep.
I'm going to put it up here again.
Okay.
I have it up here from earlier. And I want to thank you, Stacia, so much for being here. I will put Stacia's LinkedIn up here again, so you can follow her there. And again, she said she'd be happy to answer questions if she can help you at all. I know that we don't want to put everything on you, Stacia.
I'll help as much as I can. I mean, thankfully, I've got a team of people doing a lot of research. We've got, the podcast team. We've got a bunch of different resources. So if I don't have the answer, someone I work with will.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I appreciate your time very much. Thank you so much for being here and talking about this very important topic. And of course, we want to help our friends and colleagues who are looking for work. So, I mean, if there's anything we can do, I'm always happy to help and keeping an eye out for people for opportunities and things like that. So, I'll be back in 2 weeks, and I'll be posting more about my guest pretty soon. And I just want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.